Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and reaching for your phone. Sunlight enters your room as notifications suddenly stop arriving. You unlock your screen and open your favorite app. A loading circle spins endlessly in the center. You switch to another app and find nothing. Every social media feed appears frozen in time. News websites display blank pages instead of headlines. Search engines return empty screens without a single result. Streaming platforms refuse to play even one video. Online games disconnect millions of players simultaneously. Across your city, people stare at identical loading circles. Office workers refresh screens while confusion spreads through cubicles. Students pull out phones and find dead connections. Business owners restart routers behind crowded checkout counters. Parents attempt calling relatives living thousands of miles away. Every call fails before reaching the other side. Billions of people experience the same strange silence. Most assume a temporary outage will soon be fixed. Engineers rush into control rooms filled with giant monitors. Network maps begin losing connections across entire countries. Bright communication lines disappear from screen after screen. Entire continents slowly fade from the digital map. Television stations interrupt programming with emergency broadcasts. News anchors struggle to explain an impossible situation. Experts gather around tables covered with technical reports. Every report points toward the same terrifying conclusion. The internet has completely disappeared from the world. Massive data centers continue humming despite carrying no information. Endless rows of servers blink inside silent buildings. Cooling fans spin while global communication remains frozen. A woman sends a message that never leaves her phone. A student watches an assignment upload fail repeatedly. A businessman waits alone inside a disconnected video meeting. Millions of conversations suddenly end without warning. Families separated by oceans become unreachable overnight. Long-distance relationships fall silent across countless countries. International businesses lose contact with employees and customers. Airports begin experiencing failures. A customer taps a credit card against a terminal. The payment machine displays a connection error message. Another customer experiences the exact same problem. Checkout lines begin slowing across entire cities. Mobile banking applications stop displaying account balances. ATM screens flash warnings about unavailable banking networks. Long lines form outside banks before lunchtime arrives. Crowds grow larger as uncertainty spreads through neighborhoods. Bank managers hold emergency meetings behind locked doors. Financial systems stop communicating with each other worldwide. Billions of dollars become trapped inside isolated databases. Nobody knows which transactions actually completed successfully. Nobody knows which payments disappeared into digital darkness. Store owners begin accepting only physical cash payments. Customers search wallets and pockets for forgotten banknotes. And the first cracks in modern civilization begin appearing. Inside supermarkets, shoppers begin noticing shelves emptying faster. Bottled water disappears from carts within a few hours. Families push overflowing trolleys through crowded grocery aisles. Store employees struggle to restock products fast enough. Checkout lines stretch from registers to store entrances. Managers write prices manually using paper and markers. Delivery trucks wait without receiving updated routes. Warehouse workers stare at frozen inventory management screens. Purchase orders vanish between suppliers and retailers. Distribution centers lose visibility over incoming shipments. Thousands of containers sit untouched inside giant warehouses. Forklifts stand idle beside products nobody can track. Food continues existing, but information stops moving. Farmers harvest crops without knowing where to send them. Fresh produce begins piling up far from cities. Urban supermarkets struggle while rural warehouses remain full. Panic buying accelerates across major population centers. Empty shelves become symbols of growing uncertainty. Television cameras capture crowds fighting over essentials. Viral panic spreads without a single social media platform. Meanwhile, giant cargo ships drift outside overcrowded ports. Shipping companies lose access to global tracking systems. Containers stack higher along busy coastal terminals. Cranes stand motionless above mountains of delayed cargo. Factory managers wait for parts that never arrive. Assembly lines slow as critical components disappear. Manufacturing plants begin shutting down one by one. Workers gather outside factories receiving unexpected closures. Modern industry starts breaking apart at the seams. Entire supply chains unravel across multiple continents. Then hospitals begin feeling the pressure. Doctors continue working despite growing technological limitations. Nurses carry paper files through crowded hospital corridors. Medical staff search manually for patient histories. Laboratory results take hours instead of minutes. Pharmacies struggle to coordinate medicine deliveries nationwide. Emergency departments become slower during critical moments. Ambulances race through traffic, carrying urgent patients. Dispatch centers struggle with reduced communication capabilities. Every minute becomes more valuable than before. Then, transportation systems face their own challenges. Drivers lose access to navigation and traffic updates. Delivery vehicles wander through unfamiliar streets, searching routes. Taxi drivers unfold paper maps inside busy cities. Tourists gather around street signs, looking completely lost. Logistics companies lose track of thousands of vehicles. Railway operators work harder to coordinate train movements. Airports remain crowded with stranded travelers and luggage. Travelers sleep on terminal floors, awaiting new information. Giant departure boards continue flashing cancellation warnings. Meanwhile, the oceans hide humanity's forgotten dependency. Massive undersea cables rest silently beneath dark waters. Tiny glass fibers once carried nearly all global traffic. Every email once raced through those underwater highways. Every video once crossed oceans through hidden cables. Every bank transfer once traveled beneath crashing waves. Now those digital highways carry almost nothing. Entire continents become isolated islands of information. Global communication shrinks into disconnected regional networks. Humanity begins realizing how fragile modern civilization truly is. Then something even more dangerous begins spreading across society. Nobody knows exactly why the internet disappeared. Television studios broadcast theories instead of answers. Experts argue across crowded panels beneath flashing headlines. Government officials gather inside emergency command centers. Military leaders stand around giant maps of the world. Intelligence agencies search for signs of an attack. Scientists investigate whether nature caused the collapse. Citizens gather in streets discussing endless possibilities. Rumors spread faster than official information. Some blame cyber warfare launched by hostile nations. Others blame powerful artificial intelligence escaping human control. Others point towards secret military weapons. Others fear a massive solar storm from space. Fear begins filling the gaps left by information. Neighbors who trusted each other become suspicious. Communities divide into competing explanations and beliefs. Television stores fill with people watching emergency broadcasts. Radio stations suddenly become humanity's most valuable networks. Millions of households dust off forgotten radios. Families gather around speakers, waiting for updates. For the first time in decades, radio becomes king again. Governments encourage citizens to remain calm and patient. Emergency workers coordinate through radio communication networks. Police departments return to older communication methods. Local leaders organize community meetings in public spaces. Town halls become crowded with worried residents. Bulletin boards appear in neighborhoods across entire cities. Paper notices replace digital announcements. Face-to-face conversations replace online discussions. Then the first month arrives. People stop waiting for the internet to return. Businesses begin redesigning operations for a disconnected world. Office buildings replace cloud systems with physical records. Workers fill filing cabinets with printed information. Libraries become crowded with students and researchers. Bookstores experience demand they haven't seen in decades. Cash becomes more important than it has in years. Small businesses form local trading networks. Farmers sell directly to nearby communities. Neighborhood markets become centers of daily activity. Children spend more time outdoors than online. Parks become crowded with families every afternoon. Sports fields fill with teenagers instead of screens. Restaurants become gathering places for conversation again. Streets feel busier, even without digital activity. Communities slowly become more connected in person. Some industries disappear forever from the economy. Others emerge to replace them. Engineers begin building new communication systems. Inventors race to create alternative global networks. Universities become laboratories for rebuilding connectivity. Governments invest heavily in new infrastructure projects. Humanity adapts just as it always has. Humans survived ice ages with far fewer resources. Humans survived plagues that killed millions. Humans survived wars that reshaped entire continents. Humans survived the collapse of great empires. Humanity would survive the disappearance of the internet too. Years later, children would hear stories about social media. They would hear stories about instant global communication. They would hear stories about streaming any movie instantly. They would hear stories about ordering anything with one click. Those stories would sound almost unbelievable, like tales from a lost civilization. The internet changed humanity forever. Its disappearance would change humanity forever too. The real question would no longer be survival. The real question would be identity. What kind of civilization emerges after the digital age? A stronger civilization built around local communities? A weaker civilization struggling without global connectivity? A more resilient civilization prepared for future crises? Or a completely different civilization unlike anything before? Somewhere in that future, a child asks a question. The child points toward an old, disconnected smartphone. The child asks what people used those devices for. An older person smiles and remembers another world. A world connected by invisible signals crossing oceans. A world where billions spoke instantly across continents. A world powered by endless streams of information. A world that seemed permanent. A world that seemed impossible to lose. A world that vanished in a single day. Because if the internet disappeared tomorrow, the end of the internet would not end humanity. It would simply end one chapter and begin another. A completely different chapter in human history.